Prime Minister Modi keeps talking about cooperative federalism. Today we have with us one of the most vibrant leaders from the opposition, Mahua Moitra, Lok Sabha MP from TMC, West Bengal. Welcome to India Today Conclave.
Thank you so much, Kaushik. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you.
So let me start with a very basic question. Why Prime Minister Narendra Modi and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, they can't get along? Is it because both have high ego or inflated sense of importance, or there is some problem with Indian federal structure?
I think when we're looking at the Prime Minister of a country and the Chief Minister of a state, within the parameters of a federal structure, then if you become Prime Minister of India, you will obviously be a strong personality. If you become Chief Minister of a state like Bengal, you will be a strong personality. So it is taken for granted that both of these people will be and should be strong personalities. So that's not a bad thing. That's how it should be. But within a federal structure, I don't think that the friction or the tensions arise from personal attributes or personal traits or things like ego. It is the basic structure of the sort of federation, the union of states, that is right from day one been open to interpretation. If you think about what B.R. Ambedkar said, and he said that when he said the draft constitution is meant to be both unitary and federal, depending upon time and circumstance. So this was a very kind of flexible federalism that we had right from day one. When we talk of federalism in India, it is not something that was set in stone. So even the founders, the drafters of our constitution, meant it to give it some area of flexibility. And they said that, Ambedkar also said that it is surprising that how unitary our structure can become. So obviously when different people come to power at the center, they are using these powers of flexible federalism to push boundaries. And that's when the trouble starts. So let's start at something very basic. You can look at economic federalism, you can look at administrative federalism, and you can look at political federalism. Now it is very possible to have a large degree of political federalism and yet have strong economic and administrative control of the center. They can both coexist quite nicely. I mean, if you look at, say, YSR and the BJP there, they have political federalism, but at the same time, administrative and economic is flowing quite nicely from the center. So that is possible. But if you look at, otherwise, if you look at, in 2014, that was, I would say, as we knew it, federalism's first big blow came in 2014, when the Planning Commission was done away with. For 65 years, we had the Planning Commission, which basically dealt with the disbursement of grants on a consensual agreement basis to the states. So when Mr. Modi came in, the government did away with the Planning Commission, brought in the Niti Aayog. What did we have before that? We had the Gadgil formula. According to the state's GDP, per capita income of the state, population of the state, that's how the plan's allocation would be done. Now the Niti Aayog comes in, what happens? It's based on discretion. So whenever you have grants or assistance based on discretion, then the trouble starts. So what, in the last sort of, I would say 5 years or 4 years or even 3 years, especially during the pandemic, the center frankly has had a very bad fiscal run. Huge mismanagement, they've got their back to the wall. So what do? They squeeze the states. They increase cess, where the states get no thing. They've increased cess. As far as GST revenues are concerned, they are not paying the states on time, which is the biggest problem that has happened. They are giving what is due to the states as delayed loans. Things like the National Development Council, which used to meet. In the past 8 years, Mr. Modi has not called a single meeting of the National Development Council. So these large pillars of the federal structure, as we know it, have really broken down. So when something like this happens, obviously states like Bengal, which are owed something like 74,000 crores in dues, we're going to have to stand up and say, when you are increasing state share of all the center and state programs, be it PMJSY, be it PMAY, be it all of them, then obviously, and you're not paying your share on time and you're blackmailing the states, that there's going to be pushback. So obviously when you have strong chief ministers, as there should be, and they will push back when you are undermining the federal structure, then you will have friction like this. So I'm sorry for a long answer, but it is a long answer.
I take your point, but as you rightly mentioned about YSR, and we do not need to go far, next to West Bengal is Odisha, and there is also a strong chief minister who has been there for 2 decades. And we don't see that kind of conflicts that happen between West Bengal and center. And you talked about economic federalism, but we see most of the conflicts around police force, administrative federalism, the use of agencies, whether it's CBI or state government protecting certain police officer. I want to know what's this obsession with police force, whether it's the center, say for instance, running the Delhi government, Delhi police force, or the West Bengal police force under Mamata Banerjee. Is it because the control over the police force gives the right to control the opposition leaders because they can be sent to jail or they can be intimidated? And both are at fault. Means I have instances of West Bengal government also using it and central government also using the same force.
It's a very good point. Again, there are let's divide it into two. One is the center is trying to overstep its boundaries in a very large way by legislating on issues on which they have no business legislating. So it's not just, if you look at the UAPA, for example, which, where people can come in and individuals can be designated as terrorists. Central forces can come in without seeking permission of the state's DGP, go in and take action within a state's territorial limits, which is something that was not allowed ever. Law and order is a state subject, you have to seek permission. So when you pass laws, they have a brute majority in parliament, so you have legislated on issues like that. You have legislated on issues, for example, as just last time when they brought in the Delhi Municipal Corporation Reorganization Act, which is a state subject. They've brought in the 3 farm laws, which was agriculture, a state subject. So over and over again, you have seen when it comes to state subjects that they're overthinking their boundaries. But the issue with the BJP is that it is okay if a government is deriving its power from its elected majority. This government wants to also assert its power not just over your vote, but over what is inside your head. So to do that, they have to do what in Hindi they call darana dhamkana. Bas chalo isko thoda dara ke dhamka dete. So what they'll do is, they will call someone into a police station. They won't arrest you. They can't keep you more than 8 hours in a police station. They let you go after 6 hours. But the process of calling you into a police station for 6 hours, keeping you waiting, acha thoda chai pijiye, thoda ye kijiye, sawal kijiye, kyun tension lete, all of that. So as far as normal law-abiding, basic law-abiding citizens go, this instills a sense of fear. So when you use police force to instill a sense of fear, then in addition to elected majority, you are also trying to get this majority to follow you due to an atmosphere of fear. And I think that's what the obsession with trying to control police forces is. Because even when you run a state, who is the most, in my district, I don't need the chief minister on a daily basis, if you know what I mean. If I've got a small problem, I don't call the chief minister. I need my OCs. I need the SHO. Those are the people that you need. If a normal person has a problem, are they going to come to Lal Bazaar? They're going to go to the local OC or the local IC. So these circles of influence are actually operating at very micro levels. And that is what the BJP wants to control now, which is why law and order for them has become very important.
You are talking of BJP, but डराने धमकाने का काम ममता बनर्जी भी करती है. Recently, one person criticized him or used some unparliamentary languages, and she's sending police force. And you are also trying to arrest or at least legally summon Nupur Sharma. So it's the same thing both parties are doing. How do you differentiate it?
There's difference between the two cases. As far as freedom of expression is concerned, I don't know if I'm an outlier, but I do believe that we have the freedom to criticize. Now I won't even say it's a fine line, it's a very strong line, it's black and white, between the freedom to criticize and the freedom to incite violence. So if somebody is going and abusing somebody, for example, or using bad language, you may not like it, but I think that, frankly, as political leaders, we should let it go.
Are you saying Mamta Banerjee should let
No,
it go?
that's not a question I can answer. That's a question that I think, frankly, you should ask the Chief Minister, which I believe you did. And
I'm
she has
asking
answered
your
it.
opinion.
No, that's a question that is meant for the Chief Minister. I cannot opine on something that the question is to do with something that she can answer herself. I'm just saying in most cases, I believe that one should let, when someone calls me a name, so I know, for example, somebody will come and tell me, Didi, apnake ei boleche. And I'll say, acha, thik ache, boleche. Now, I'm not going to say, get him arrested, right? So I think to that we should be tolerant. But the difference between that and between clear and imminent danger, the test is clear and imminent danger from somebody's words, where it is incitement to violence, where it is incitement to hate, where you can actually have large masses of people rioting or large masses of people who are at bodily harm due to somebody's words. And for that we have the law of the land. So our French spokesperson said was completely at odds with the law of the land. Like yesterday, Vinda Grover said in court, and I would like to bring that out, I think all of us should know the difference. She said, we are not talking about the hurting my sentiments code, we're talking about the Indian Penal Code. There's a lot of things that we can say that can hurt my sentiments, but they may not necessarily be illegal. So let us try and stick to what the Indian Penal Code is and not this hurt my sentiments code. Now, some people may get hurt by sentiments by, I'm not eating vegetarian food and I'm drinking whiskey. But I may be a Kali worshipper where I go to Tara Peeth and I'm giving Ma Tara whiskey and I'm giving her mangsha jhol. So where does one draw the line? So let's not get into the hurt the sentiments kind of thing, but let's go into what is against the law. So if somebody has said something that is against the law, that is directly incitement to violence, then of course she should be arrested. And there cannot be double standards. You cannot have Muhammad Zubair, for example, for exactly the same section, 295, 295A, when he has tweeted from an Android phone, being picked up and harassed and his laptop confiscated, and the other person being given security at taxpayers' expense. That's not compatible.
I'll come to that, but before that, what's your opinion about projecting that film director who projected Goddess Kali smoking? Now, many are claiming that it hurts religious sentiment. You were saying that something. Do you see that unconstitutional, or that's?
I frankly, to me, Goddess Kali is how you view your God. Right? So some people's idea of God, if you go to Bhutan or you go to Sikkim, for example, when they do their puja in the morning, they give whiskey to God. Now in some places in Uttar Pradesh, if you go there and you tell them that you're giving whiskey or giving something as prasad to God, they'll say, oh my God, that's blasphemous. So I think one's version of Kali, or Kali to me is a meat-eating, alcohol accepting goddess. To me, that is a version of Kali. And if you go to Tara Peeth and around Tara Peeth and around all of them, you have all the sadhus smoking, all of that. That is the version of Kali that people worship. So I think within Hinduism, being a Kali worshipper, have the freedom to imagine my Kali in that way. That is my freedom. And I don't think anyone's sentiments in that way should be hurt by that. I don't think that. I have the freedom to do it as much as you have the freedom to worship your God as a vegetarian, white cloth wearing.
So you have absolutely no problem with someone projecting?
I have absolutely no problem. I do think religion should remain in the personal ambit, and as long as I am not interfering in your space, I think we should be allowed that.
But then someone can claim that Nupur Sharma had her own interpretation of another God.
No, that's not another God. She can have an interpretation of another God, but what she's saying is factually, I don't want to repeat what she said. We all know what she said. But that is virtually, that's like coming to you or me and saying, oh, your father, or coming to say that, oh, 50 or 75 years ago, a lot of people got married to girls who were 13 or 14, or maybe in her own family somebody has done that. Is that someone going to say, so-and-so is a child rapist? Will you accept that? Is that not against? So, there are lines. And in this case, I think the line was very straight. That is not the same as to say that you are, you're being anti-Hindu when you say something against Kali, and you're being pro-Muslim because you do that. I don't think that's the same.
Okay, coming to Muhammad Zubair. So, his critics are saying that what he did, what he wrote, these things also incite violence and had the potential to at least incite violence. And you were talking the same about Nupur Sharma. So why you have double standard? On one case you were saying that she should be arrested, and the other you are protesting against his arrest.
I don't have double standards, and it bothers me that the media is unable to draw the distinction between the two, and you are helping the BJP by perpetuating this case, this false case, that both of them are the same.
We are not helping any party.
Yes.
I just need the explanation.
Let me tell you, but why are we even buying that? Because the two are completely different. Zubair is a fact checker. He's not a spokesperson from any party. They run alt news, which has received awards internationally for being one of the very few accurate fact checking. In this age of misinformation and fake news, we need. And for example, when I had tweeted a photo that I got off the internet which was incorrect, Pratik from Alt News had called me and said, that's a fake photo, take it off. Right? So they do that for everyone, irrespective. What has Zubair done? What has he done that requires arrest? Zubair has taken a photo of a film of Rishikesh Mukherjee's. The film was made in 1983, kisi se na kehna. He's taken the film poster as it was, which was passed by the censor board, taken a photo of it, which says Hanuman versus Honeymoon Hotel, and he's put pre-14 and post-14. This tweet was done in 2018. Has there been a single incidence of violence, of rioting, or anything related to that? The answer is no. It has to have a capacity to incite violence. In the last 4 years, it has not. The tweet is still up. The second thing is, who has complained against it? There has been a Twitter account called some Bhanu Bhakt or Bhagwan Bhakt, I don't know what the Twitter account was. This Twitter account had one follower, was set up in October 2021, has now been disbanded, and a SI in the Delhi police called Anup Kumar or Arvind Kumar took suo motu cognizance of this one tweet, and if you read that FIR, you'll start laughing. So can these two possibly be equated as the same? So has Zubair incited violence? Has any riot happened due to him? As opposed to what Nupur Sharma has done, where actual deaths have occurred, actual violence has occurred.
But for the counter argument is that for 1 week there is no noise over Nupur Sharma's comment because it also was picked up by many people 1 week later. So the vested interest group or someone trying to actually corner Zubair, as you were trying to indicate, the same thing can be said about Nupur Sharma. It's not my argument, but this argument has been put forward. How do you counter this argument?
Nupur Sharma said what she did on a television show. Zubair, as a fact checker, put that out there. He didn't ask them to make the show. Did he ask Navika Kumar, as the Supreme Court said, that did we ask Times Now to do a show on a sub judice matter? No, you did it for TRP. Did you ask Nupur Sharma, did Zubair ask Nupur Sharma to come there and say what she did? No. She did what she did. Now, the media picks up something that they picked up. When I said something like that, for example, the 2 paisa comment that there was so much uproar about, I said it today. The local press picked up on it 2 days later. The actual media picked up on it 7 days later. Everybody was boycotting me 10 days later. That's the way the news flow goes. Right? That's just the nature of the beast. That's the way it is.
So that 2018 comment could be effective in 2022 also. By that argument, means you never know who picks up what at what time. So by that logic, the potential is there.
But what is that comment? What is that comment? He's put a photo of a film. If the film has been passed by the censor board and you have put up a photo of that film, then what is your fault?
But someone may get hurt. That's what they say.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Do we stick to the law of the land or do we stick to a make-believe hurt my sentiments code? That is just the point. Nupur has violated the IPC. Zubair, by posting that, has not violated any provisions of the Indian Penal Code. That's as simple as it is.
Now, as you're mentioning Indian Penal Code, both cases are in courts, and judiciary, as we were discussing also, it is a prime role to play when you are talking about federalism or citizens' right. So do you think, because it's the last watchdog, so do you think the judiciary is performing its role in maintaining the federal structure of India, or when there are such conflicts, whether in terms of individual rights or whether in terms of a state's right?
No, 2 things. Yesterday I read in the papers that our Chief Justice of India, the Honorable Chief Justice, is abroad. And I think it was in the United States in California that he said something, and all of you must have read it. He said that the judiciary owes its only responsibility to uphold the Constitution. The judiciary is neither here to endorse the government in power, Nor is the judiciary here to espouse the opposition's cause. Opposition expects the judiciary to stand up for itself. The government thinks that the judiciary should rubber stamp, and he said our job is to do neither of the two. Our job is to stand up for the constitution. I think what he said is absolutely correct, but unfortunately, in the past 3 years or 4 years, I see that basic constitutional matters have been delayed by the judiciary ad nauseum. Look at electoral bonds, look at the Citizenship Amendment Act, look at something like habeas corpus petitions. So I think, yes, the judiciary is failing citizens. Today now there's a great pushback against PILs. Don't do PILs, don't do PILs. But when you can see someone taking suo motu cognizance of someone's putting up a photo of an ex-chief justice riding a motorbike, and that you're taking suo motu cognizance of that. But you're not taking suo motu cognizance of much, much more serious issues. The entire PIL revolution happened because, frankly, after ADM Jabalpur, because they were siding with the emergency, after ADM Jabalpur, it was the judiciary's way of kind of trying to compensate to the people of India that, look, we are here to listen. You know, this PIL revolution happened. Now again, what's happened is they're saying that PILs have gone too far and now let's push back. They don't want to hear PILs. They're trying to cut down on the number of PILs. They're very strict as to you have to have locus to file PIL, all of those issues. But if people don't have PILs to file via, then very, very often the affected party is not in a situation to go and file a writ on their own. So if the Supreme Court is not awake to these constitutional issues like electoral bonds, like the Citizenship Amendment Act, like these very pressing issues which have been waiting for a constitution bench for years now, then I think it's really not fair. And the judiciary is not a sacred cow. We have the right as citizens to question, to be able to speak. This is not contempt. I mean, to say something against the judiciary, oh, don't say against the judiciary. There's nothing like that. The judiciary is here to uphold the constitution. We as the public have a right to have our constitution upheld, and we have the right to question.
Now, TMC was post-2021 victory in West Bengal. You were on an expansion mode, and you were also part of that process. Probably national ambition was there, but the exploits and the results were on the lines of the box office exploits of Prithviraj Chauhan. So, what happened? Means, are you still on that process? And one thing is very curious is that the whole process was based on poaching leaders from other parties instead of an organic growth. And you criticize BJP for doing that. Why is it correct with TMC and not correct with BJP?
So I think there are two things. When you look at defections or people joining parties, there are two ways. Now, suppose you are in Congress, you can feel upset at Congress and you can go to the BJP, you can come to TMC. Individual MLAs or individual public representatives some do it for personal ambition, some do it because they genuinely can't work within their parties, some do it for a lot of reasons. Individual public representatives always have the right to join parties to switch. For example, if TMC wins a very large mandate as we did, and some BJP MLAs feel that they feel that, oh, I'm better off with the TMC, and 5 people come or 6 people come, there's nothing wrong with that. If 2 people in the TMC for whatever reason go to the BJP, there's nothing wrong with that. What is scary for Indian democracy is when there are engineered, organized mass defections in order to make or break governments. That is the dangerous part. It is not 4 people poaching 1 person or poaching 2 people. See, you can't poach someone against their own will. Right?
The validity of poaching is dependent on the quantity.
No, it's not. It is depend on the quantity, because per quantity is depend per se on the organized manner of it, because as an individual MLA, how can you ever prove that it's poaching? In a democracy, as an individual MLA, if I've been elected and today I don't want to stay in the party, I believe the Congress has treated me badly, I want to go to Trinamool. It is my fundamental right to do that. Who is going to prove that Trinamool has given me X or Y or Z? For individual MLAs, it is extremely difficult, or individual MPs, it is extremely difficult. But when you are doing it to make or break a government, for example, what we've seen in Maharashtra, what we've seen in Madhya Pradesh, you have done it to change governments. When you do it to change an elected
government... But in
government...
Maharashtra, technically nobody defected actually.
No, there's no defected because our anti-defection law has no teeth. Our anti-defection law in Maharashtra, our current anti-defection law has no teeth, because if 2/3 do it, then they're not facing anything. So there is no, but the point is,
that's a very valid thing also.
No, it's not a valid thing, because if you think about it, that yesterday, Mr. Shinde, after taking oath, did you hear what he said in the assembly? I actually tweeted it. He said, and in Marathi, and I've tweeted it, he says, Mr. Modi has congratulated me. He was behind us the whole time. Mr. Shah has stood behind us like a rock, and the real Kalakar is here. And he pointed to Mr. Fadnavis. He is the one who has done everything. Now imagine the Chief Minister of Maharashtra is standing in the Maharashtra Assembly, pointing to the ex-BJP Chief Minister and saying, herein is the real Kalakar. Now, do you mean to tell me they have dislodged a Chief Minister, they have taken over a government with the help of the BJP, when they were not in power, they have dislodged a government, and do you mean to tell me that that is not an organized
I give you a very hypothetical question. Suppose tomorrow, 2/3 of your party members, or more than that, maybe majority of your party MLAs, and they believe that it's important for the TMC to have friendship with, say, Congress, and Mamata Banerjee disagrees. Is it not democratic that the majority view is taken and accepted, and they revolt?
If 2/3 of if 2/3, answer is very simple. If the 2/3 of the party MLAs come to Mamata Banerjee and they tell her, ma'am, we have got a problem. This is what needs to be solved. This is what needs to be done. They go through a process and they ultimately cannot reach anything. And they tell Mamata Banerjee, we can't accept you as a leader. This is the issue. And it is done through that process. We are floating something else, or we are doing something else. That's a different issue, and that's a democratic process. If 2/3 of the party MLAs are sitting holed up somewhere with 5 representatives from the BJP with either a carrot of money or the stick of an ED or a CBI case, and they all come overnight and they say that we believe that the BJP is the best thing for Bengal, then they're two very different things. So, you have to look at it in context.
The same can be true about Mamata Banerjee also, because she may use the state police force. I'm asking you a hypothetical question. How do you differentiate that?
This hypothetical, exactly, I've already answered that question. The differentiation is whether, in this case, these MLAs just woke up one day, said they were going to Gujarat, did not even discuss and say they had a problem. They just took a flight to Gujarat.
They did discuss.
No, they did not. They did not.
They claimed.
They claim nowhere did they give proof that they have gone and had meetings with Uddhav and discussed.
Proof is not otherwise as well.
No, but they took a flight to Gujarat. From Gujarat, they took a flight to Assam. They were holed up in Assam. The man was taking an evening flight to Gujarat to discuss with Fadnavis and come back in the morning to be with his MLAs. The entire thing was orchestrated by the BJP to make a government fall. It's the same thing that happened in Madhya Pradesh. So when you have organized defection, see, it's not about you and me sitting here and nickeling and diming. The proof of the pudding is there for the whole world to see. So there's a difference if 5 people have a problem with an elected chief minister and go to her and say, we have a problem. Please help us solve the problem, otherwise we are going. That is free everywhere. If a banker has a problem with JP Morgan and say, you didn't pay me enough and I'm going to go to Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs poached him, yeah, but JP Morgan also didn't pay him enough. So that is true in everything. If a doctor is with Apollo, he's not happy with Apollo and he wants to move to PLS, that poaching is across all states. That's not the point. The point is, here you are toppling an elected government. It's a much greater responsibility.
Coming back to the main theme, federalism, I think Indian federal structure at the moment is also weak because we don't have stronger opposition leaders and there's a lack of opposition unity. So do you think the answer is in Mamata Banerjee, or are you ready to accept leadership of other political parties in the interest of an opposition unity? Because there is a conflict, there is Rahul Gandhi, there is Akhilesh Yadav, there is Mamata Banerjee, there is even Sharad Pawar.
Mamata Banerjee has been the first person.
And there is a new entrant, KCR.
Mamata Banerjee has been the first person to put up her hand and say that I'm not interested in being the leader of the pack. We just want that we be united and that we come together and we discuss all the issues and we take on the BJP where it matters in a united front. So that's a question that she said from day one. So there's no question of sort of, her insisting on that. She's been the first person to say this, even when on any meeting that is convened. I mean, she is one among equals. And I think that is very clear in terms of opposition unity. And I don't think it is correct to say that there are no strong leaders. We don't want to be a...
She is ready to accept Rahul Gandhi as the leader if others also...
No. See, these are questions.
the same
When you have a session
proposition.
with Mamta Banerjee, then you don't have the guts to ask her this question. When you have a session with Mamta Banerjee, you ask her this question directly and see what she says. What is the point of asking another leader of Mamta Banerjee's party whether it's with this thing? I cannot answer this question for Mamta Banerjee, but Mamta Banerjee has gone on record saying very clearly that she has no problem with accepting anybody. The question is not of leadership as of now. The question is of coming together and having a common united front. That's the most, and please understand one thing. Strong leadership, Mamta Banerjee is a very strong leader. Stalin is a very strong leader. BJD, Mr. Patnaik is a very strong leader. So there are strong leaders in everything. You don't have to have a 56-inch chest and beat your chest every day and say, I'm great, and this is Amrit Kal, to be able to be a strong leader. So I think this myth that you keep perpetuating, that there are no strong opposition leaders, is correct. If we were not strong with all the might of the BJP, with them camped here for 2 months, spending thousands of crores, we still won 217 seats. Look at what Stalin, they ran with their tail between their legs in Tamil Nadu. Look at Odisha, with everything that they're trying, Naveen Patnaik is winning election after election after election. So it is not true that there are not strong opposition leaders. There are. That's not true.
Ms. Moitra, thank you very much for this candid conversation. You answered most of the questions. You evaded one or two, but it was
Only one or
delightful.
two.
It was delightful having you here. Appreciate you joining India Today.
Thank you so
Conclave.
much. Thank you.